Today I am here to talk about a super exciting book, which is Ctrl Alt Delete by Emma Gannon. Now if you've been following me for a while, you'll see that I have talked about this book repeatedly over the last few months in several videos, and I finally got it and I finally read it. And it was worth every second of the wait. This book was fantastic. I've been following Emma for a while now on her blog, Girl Lost in the City, and she's just a fantastic writer. So if you've read any of her blog posts, it will come as no surprise that this book is really wonderfully well written, it's really funny, it's really engaging. Emma Gannon was born in 1989, the same year as the World Wide Web. So this book is her story of literally growing up alongside the internet. And even though I wasn't born quite so perfectly in time, I was born in 1991, so much of this book was still so relatable. And I think anyone born even roughly around that time will find themselves just screaming with nostalgia as they read this book. All of these post-it notes basically mean, oh my god, me too. There is no way that you won't finish this book feeling better than when you started. Okay, so right from the beginning, this book made me feel a lot better about stuff that I used to do, because maybe everyone else was doing it too. Or at the very least, me and Emma Gannon were both doing it, so it wasn't just me. Point 1. Everyone who grew up with the internet can relate to the idea of creating an online version of yourself, which probably had nothing to do with the real version. These days, we all know the phrase personal brand, but actually working on our personal branding is something that we have all been doing way before that became part of the lingo. I literally had a notebook where I would write down drafts for what my MSN status would be, and though I didn't know it, what I was doing was trying to figure out what my online brand was going to be. And basically, I wanted it to be Regina George. The strangest thing this then reminded me I used to do was that in my private diary, which I never showed anybody, I would write about going to parties that I never went to. I don't know who I was trying to impress except for myself, but all I can think is that I was working on my personal brand from a very early age. Point 2, editing photos. Now I used to do this very badly. I can't even remember which program I was using. Emma said she was using Paint, so I probably was as well, but I thought I was a Photoshop wizard. And every picture I would upload to myself on Bebo or even on Xanga, do you remember Xanga? I would be tanned, I would be slim, I would have these huge boobs, which 12-year-old me definitely didn't have. And the thing that always makes me laugh the most when I look back at my old social media account is how the comments were full of compliments, which weren't true about me, but I didn't say anything. I would just sit there and smile and take it. But Emma says the same thing. Those compliments felt real. It felt like I had put a version of myself online that might as well have been true, even if in real life it looked nothing like my awkward 12-year-old body. If people liked it, it felt like they were really complimenting me. These days I have way tamed down the editing. The size my thighs look on Instagram is the size my thighs look in real life, but I do use the Snapchat pretty filter, so has anything really changed? Point 3, over-imagination. Now I'm sure this definitely didn't come about just because of the internet. Teenagers must have been daydreaming about people they fancied forever, pretty much. But what Emma Gannon pointed out is that the internet allowed these people that we were daydreaming about to seem even more real than they did when we were literally inventing them out of thin air. So Emma talks about the hours she would spend daydreaming about these boys that she had basically just stalked online. And I read this like bright red in the face because, oh my god, me too. I would while away whole lessons at school not paying attention because I was so busy dreaming about some boy who was a friend of a friend on MySpace, and he seemed like the perfect boyfriend. And because he was on the internet, it seemed like I wasn't just making it up, he really would be the perfect boyfriend, and I was so convinced. And I guess to an extent I still do that one today as well. I'm not looking for boyfriends or girlfriends anymore, but sometimes I follow someone on Twitter and just think that they would be my best friend in the world. And everything that they put on the internet about themselves just seems to back up my point of view. They would be my best friend, and if ever we met in real life, we would be totally inseparable. So once again, nothing's changed. Okay, number 4. What was with the way we talked to each other on Facebook? I had completely forgotten about this until Emma wrote here that back in 2006, Facebook was all about writing utter drivel on anyone and everyone's wall. And yeah, I did used to do that. And we all did. We would write essays on people's walls that said basically nothing except calling them weird nicknames. I think it was something about staking our territory on our friends. If anyone was going to look at my best friend's wall, I wanted them to see that I had written all over it. I think that's what it was about. But luckily that has kind of died down. I don't write on anyone's Facebook wall anymore. But I do write in their Instagram comments. Point 5. Why are we all such exhibitionists? The desire to show myself off on the internet is something that quite obviously has not gone away, because here I am on YouTube, I'm on Snapchat all day, and back in the day when we first got webcams that didn't even have microphones or sound, it was just webcams while you typed, I was obsessed with them. Just chatting on MSN saying basically nothing of interest but with my webcam on so they could see how pretty I looked while I was typing. What was that about? It was just plain creepy. And then of course you had to make it look like they weren't the only person you were talking to, so now and then you would have to just laugh silently as if you were laughing in another MSN conversation. It was a whole thing. How many points did I do? 1, 2, 3, 5. Point 6. Blatantly lying. In chapter 4, Emma talks about her first online boyfriend, and I swear to God, she might as well have been describing my first boyfriend. Down to the fact that it was her friend's older brother, she was too shy to speak to him in real life, but they suddenly had a blossoming relationship over MSN. And she realised that she could bond with him by just Googling whatever he was talking about and making it sound like they had that in common, and she was obsessed with that band too. And oh my god, that is how my whole 8-month relationship worked. MSN in particular made it really easy to go for the subtle lying and morphing yourself into the person they wanted you to be. This particular trick that Emma talks about was my favourite. You could look at their now playing where their status showed what song they were listening to, and then you would start playing another song by the same artist. Every time I did it, whichever boy I was trying to chat up would comment on my great music choice. So blatant lying gets you relationships, is the moral of that story. And bonus nostalgia points for A, signing offline and online several times in a row, just in case they'd missed seeing your name pop up the first time, and texting somebody and then immediately following up with, whoops, wrong number. I still do that. But it's not all nostalgia and cringing in this book. There are a lot of really profound observations about how scary and awful and wonderful the internet really is. It manages to achieve a rather wonderful and rare balance, where Emma talks very honestly about the dangers of the internet, about our need to let go of the internet sometimes, step out into the real world, but at no point does she demonize or criticize the internet itself, obviously because using the internet and mastering the internet has been a huge portion of Emma's career. So as someone who also loves the internet but is also scared of it, this was a really fantastic book to read. So that was Ctrl Alt Delete by Emma Gannon. I really recommend you buy this book. Like, go out and get it right now. And in the meantime, you should subscribe to my channel. I make new videos every Monday and Friday. And you can also add me all over the internet. All of my social links coming up here. Hello! I've always wanted to do that. This is the mid-year freakout tag, or the mid-year book freakout, or I can't remember what it's called. But it's where I'm going to get super excited about all of the books I've read so far this year.